What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So yesterday I did make a patch notes video pertaining to all the weapon changes that's coming to Season 1. I know it's already come to Garena, the Vietnam servers, as well as the Korean server, but we haven't gotten it for the global server. So it is kind of weird. You know, we're probably not going to get the update until like maybe a few days before Season 1 begins. But there is a part 2 to these patch notes. I just found this out like maybe a day ago, or earlier this morning when I woke up. And yeah, I didn't have time to really make the video because obviously I woke up a little bit later, and then I went door dashing, working and all that stuff. But yeah, now I have the time to actually cover part 2 of the patch notes. Thankfully, this won't be a long video that I do have to make because the first like half of the page is basically just like the rest of the weapon changes, and the other half is like the score streak, operator skill changes. So I'll just bunch those up together. But yeah, let's get into it. So starting off, we do have changes for the ASM-10. They improved the range from 0.1432 to 0.1632, basically giving it 2 more meters within the first range. As for the Ranger barrel and Marksman barrel, they did kind of reverted some of the old nerfs back like 2 years ago. Back I think like after like post season 13 when the ASM-10 was still meta, and this was like way before we even got the Branson barrel. The ASM-10 used to have like really long 3-shot kill ranges. I think this and the Man of War were like the top weapons at the time, but they kind of reverted back the changes. It used to be 20% for the Ranger barrel, 27.5% for the Marksman, but they increased it from like they basically brought it up to 25% for Ranger as well as 33% for the Marksman barrel. This is going to basically let you 3-shot from longer ranges now. Of course, doing this back then probably would have been a stupid idea, but given that most of the weapons could outperform this one, now it's like, having the ASM-10 meta from back then would work perfectly now. So the LK-24 was also improved. They increased the damage profile for Battle Royale and multiplayer. I'm not really going to get too into this because obviously the LK-24 pretty much 4 shots at most ranges. So having like a slight increase in damage isn't really going to change too much. It's more or less going to be the same. So we move on once more to the KN-44. It got improved damage profile from 28-24-19 to 29-24-19, basically giving it more damage, better 3-shot capability, and so on. As for Battle Royale, it also got increased in damage. So that was kind of like the additional change that I mentioned last time. They just didn't include it within the picture until like a day later. So now we move on to a very welcoming change for the ASVAL. It improved the stability of the recoil animation as well as decreasing the intensity of the firing animation, the visual shake. So this was a huge issue that I've had with the ASVAL for a very long time. As much as I love the weapon to death, that was probably one of my biggest complaints with it. Sometimes I just didn't want to use it because, controlling the recoil, or I guess the animation, was just kind of annoying at times. It kind of got to the point where I started to become extremely selective on where and when I wanted to use the ASVAL, mainly because, there's a chance that could let me down with just the whole entire recoil pattern. Now we got another surprising change, which is the SHICOM. They decreased the horizontal recoil, which I guess kind of was needed. I'm not really that sure, but the last time I used the SHICOM, this was like after like one of the buffs. It did have a bit of horizontal recoil, but it was never really enough for me to say like, oh, it was like, a deal breaker. But I guess they needed like to do it for some reason. So they improved the damage profile for multiplayer from 28-25 2017 to 32-25 20 and 17. So basically the first range got massively buffed. So the 3-shot potential like up close within like maybe like 10 meters is going to be absolutely insane. We also got another change for the QQ9. It improved the lower arm damage multiplier from 1 times to 1.1 times, basically kind of reverting the nerf that they did the season before, or the season before that other season. So yeah, it's basically back to where it was previously. And they also decreased the horizontal recoil, which is a very welcoming change because, oh my god, like, controlling the vertical recoil with the QQ9 is easy, but when it comes to the horizontal recoil, it is annoying, especially if you have to take someone down at a longer range. But weirdly enough, I did kind of notice this when I was using the test server. When I was playing on the FOV option, I noticed that it had literally no horizontal recoil. I'm not sure if they made the weapon changes like that, but it really felt a lot more stable when I was playing on the test server for some reason. As for the Switchblade, it got just improved flinch resistance, and that's more or less it. That's all I got. The KSP also got a decent change. Well, not really that decent, but it's kind of like a whatever change. The range improved on this, I guess, on the second one. So it basically got increased by like 2 meters, and that's basically it. So now we move on to the final weapon change, which is the HS2126. It did also get an additional change as well. They basically decreased the vertical recoil, which I think probably would have been the best idea to go with, especially if the burst is going to be a lot faster. It's good, like the recoil control, if they didn't fix it, probably would have been like just out of this world. So I think it was actually a good idea that they did this. So now moving on to the rest of the changes, they decreased the overall launch distance. All melees will now have the same launch distance of 1.3 meters on multiplayer only. So thankfully that's the case. Honestly, the melee spam has been kind of annoying, even on public matches. It's just ugh. And like most of the time, like when they're knifing you or they're hitting you with the bat, like 90% of the time they're not actually touching you. So yeah, that definitely needed to change. The TAC 5, they decreased the bonus from 70 to 50, so now it's back to, I believe, where it was. It also got a decreased charge rate. The reactor core decreased mobility when skill is active. I don't really see that being an issue, since, you know, most people don't really have to move too much, at least when they're using this, especially to clear an objective. As for the Ballista EM3, the decreased detection range went down from 25 meters to 20 meters. Decreased damage range from 25 meters to 22 meters. So basically, I think that means that they're not going to be able to see you through walls past 20 meters. So that was a good idea, but I still believe that they should have nerfed it to the point where you have to at least be aimed in order to see someone through a wall, because I've seen a lot of clips where people just kind of like just lean towards a wall and just look at people through it without having to aim in. I think that's kind of broken, to be honest, or kind of annoying as well. So yeah, I think they should have done that as well, but it's whatever. As for the death machine, the chest multiplier did get improved from 1 times to 1.2 times. They also increased the fire rate from 500 rounds per minute to 600 rounds per minute. For the war machine, they improved the explosive damage radius from 4.5 meters to 5 meters, and they also improved the blast damage from 50 to 80. So this might be pretty deadly. I'm not really that sure. We're just gonna have to wait and see. As for restock, I think they probably did this for what's it called, for the stim shot. They basically improved the recharge from 25 seconds to 20 seconds. So now it's going to be a little bit quicker. As for the UAV, unfortunately, they decreased the overall duration of it, so it's not going to last as long as before. Launcher Plus, they improved the reserve, so now instead of getting an extra launcher thing, you get like 2 now, so you get 2 rockets instead. As for Flak Jacket, this is something that you guys should not, I think you guys should just disregard, because it was actually supposed to be a nerf for the trophy system. So this change with the Flak Jacket is not actually going to be in Season 1, so yeah. So that pretty much covers the entire, part 2 of the balance changes. Like I said, I don't know if there's going to be a part 3. Maybe not. Maybe there's probably more that we're just not aware of, or they're probably still searching for, but we're just going to have to wait and see. But if not, I mean, this is pretty good for what we've got. My impressions of the changes, at least right now, especially with the Shicom, that might be extremely deadly in close ranges. It might actually compete against the, the KSP, or it might rival it. I'm not really that sure, but in close range, I could see it being extremely overpowered. But yeah, I mean, especially in shipment, oh my god. But most of the other changes were just additional stuff from last time's patch notes. I guess they just figured that out, especially with the HS2126. I do agree with, like I said, with the vertical recoil control, because if they were going to keep the burst fast and just keep the recoil the same, it would have been almost impossible to control it. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD mobile content. I'll see you guys next time.